Hello and welcome to Unhacked. I'm Brian Graff, Senior Vice President of Business Development here at Abacode. We're here every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern to take you through a cyber topic of the week. We will cover the what, the where, the when, and the why for the most recent hacks and security events, or as recent as we can, and provide you with key takeaways on how you can learn from the attack and prevent it from happening to your organization. As always, this report was sourced from various sites and news sources. We have listed the links to those sites in the description below. Today on Unhacked, the United States Department of Justice and Attorney for the Southern District of New York unsealed indictments detailing wire fraud and copyright infringement charges for members of the online piracy group Sparks, an international ring of criminals involved in illegally distributing movies and television shows on a worldwide network of servers. Sparks is a sophisticated multinational piracy ring with members in the US, the UK, and Europe that, quote from the article, committed copyright infringement by distributing nearly every movie and TV show produced by a major production studio on their worldwide list of servers in the past 9 years. Most of the time before the media was officially released. If you have written a bootleg movie or TV show in the past 6 or 7 years, you very likely have Sparks to thank for the initial theft. So how does a criminal privacy ring get their hands on movies and TV shows before distributors can even release them for public sale? Do they infiltrate public production studio networks? Do they monitor communications between producers and exfiltrate the finished media as it is finalized for distribution? No, that is too much work. It's much easier just to show up at the distributor or the wholesale department where the media was waiting for storage, waiting to release date, pose as, say, a pre-screening critic or member of the production company, stating you have official business that requires a pre-screened copy of the DVD of the movie or TV show, and that's it. Extremely valuable IP obtained, severe financial damage done, and no hacking required. Now, the pre-screened media in many cases did have copyright protection, but that is trivially easy to get around with the sophisticated ripping software possessed by the organization. Despite the takedown of Sparks, this will always be a major problem for the film, TV, and music industry. Operations require personnel inside and outside the production studio, such as critics and distributors, to possess media prior to public release. And once a copy gets in the hands of a piracy ring, pretty much the game is over. However, there are lessons that every company can learn from this age-old theft story. Map out your asset inventory. Before you try to protect data inside and outside of your environment, you must know where your sensitive data is stored and transmitted, and where physical media is transported. If movie studios weren't strictly controlling and enforcing physical controls, they should have started. They should have done the following: ensuring that any visitor to their facility is required to show identification, sign into a log, and wear a visitor badge, and be escorted at all times, especially in sensitive areas. They should have ensured that vendors performing maintenance on their network equipment is vetted and monitored, and their tools are scanned for malware prior to connecting anything to their devices. If your organization has sensitive data stored on physical media and there's no valid business reason to do so, then that's bad. Discourage or outright prohibit the use of flash drives via network configuration or your network GPO. There's almost never a need for them unless in very specific circumstances. Flash drives are not only great tools for bad actors to steal sensitive IP and transfer data, they're also a great way to get your workstations infected with malware. If your vendors store or process sensitive data or your customers' data, you are still responsible for the security of that data. Perform due diligence on your vendor security. Require them to complete questionnaires describing their own security program. Review your vendor agreements to ensure the vendor is on the hook for securing data and informing you immediately of any incidents that may have constituted a breach. Requiring your vendors to undergo a third-party audit such as SOC 2 or ISO 27001 to gain an independent assurance that vendors have a security program in place is a great way to gain assurance of your own security program. As always, if you're wondering what controls to implement for proper physical and vendor security control, reviewing compliance standards will give you a list of best practices to follow. Not all controls will be applicable to you, and not all compliance standards contain all the controls you need, but at least you'll have a list of best practices to start from. For instance, let's look at some of the NIST 800-171 controls. Control Section 3.8, Media Protection, includes the following: mark media with necessary markings and distribution limitations. Control access to media containing sensitive data. And maintain accountability for media during transport outside of controlled areas. Control Section 3.10 deals with physical security. Strictly limit physical access to organizational systems, equipment, and their respective operating environments to authorized individuals. Protect and monitor physical facility and support infrastructure for organizational systems. Escort visitors and monitor visitor activity. Maintain audit logs of physical access. You'll notice that these controls are very vague, and that is kind of the point. That is also the downside of compliance standards. They have to be broad enough to cover every type of information system in all types of organizations. And for the most part, they will only tell you the what to do, not how to do it. You will have to line up these controls against your system inventory and your processes and determine the most efficient and reasonable method to comply with these requirements. It seems a lot harder than it is, though. Take the movie studio distributors, for example. Media protection is vital, especially labeling and distribution controls. Making sure that, first, third-party organizations are verified before being granted access to receive the material, before being authorized to receive the material, and then having those organizational individuals' identity verified again before distributing may have prevented the studios from handing their movies directly over to pirates. Physical security ties into this. Where should you apply physical security? Obviously anywhere the film and TV media is stored, in the example of the production movie studios. When visitors show up, verify their identities. Don't let them roam free in your facilities. Maintain a log of visitors. This all seems like common sense when you break it down. Don't think of security compliance as a set of arbitrary controls. Think, what bad things can happen at my company? Where can those bad things happen? What systems are affected by those bad things? And how can I stop them? That's security risk management and compliance in a nutshell. So that's all the time we have today. My name is Brian Graff from Abacode. If you like this, find this information useful, please like and subscribe and enable notifications. And I'll see you next Thursday on Unhacked.